Hello there, people of the internet. I know that we talk a lot about, the old school military surplus guns and the most capable firearms that mankind has to offer nowadays. However, I want to go ahead and talk about BB guns, and I get that this isn't a topic that a lot of people kind of hone in on, but it's something that I want to cover simply because I've seen what BB guns can do. And I think by a pretty huge margin, they are wholeheartedly underappreciated and undervalued in the gun world just because as gun people, we like having the best possible thing, and there is absolutely nothing in any category that a BB gun does better than an actual powder projectile, like powder burning projectile or actual firearm. But that being said, if you don't have an actual firearm and all you have is a BB gun, that is not the same as being unarmed. So, BB guns shine in a couple of different categories. They kind of fall into the same sort of category that, say, a 22 long rifle would fall in, but you still have some pretty significant benefits with a BB gun than you would get with a 22 long rifle. 22 long rifle way more powerful than a BB gun. Like if you are looking for a good power to cost to lightweight ratio to size of ammunition ratio, then the 22 long rifle just it is a fantastic little cartridge that can do a whole lot, and people underestimate that thing's capabilities on a regular basis. But the BB gun, you shouldn't underestimate the humble little BB gun either. I have taken many squirrels and other various small critters with BB guns just because they are oftentimes powerful enough to be able to get the job done. I wouldn't exactly use something like a Red Ryder, which is like, it launches a BB at probably about 300 feet a second. I would definitely get something a little bit more powerful. Like this right here is a Barra 1866. It's just a cheapo Walmart special BB gun. But this one right here will launch those BBs at full pressure at around 1,200 feet per second or 800 feet per second. I can't quite remember which one of those it is. But bottom line, it is significantly faster than something like a Red Ryder. And a BB gun launching a BB, we'll say at 800 feet per second, a BB gun launching a BB at 800 feet per second is plenty to take out a squirrel within like 25 feet, right? And for squirrel, you can get pretty gosh darn close to them. Now, the big issue with a BB gun like this right here is it's a non-rifled barrel, so it's going to be rather inaccurate, especially with actual BBs. The BBs themselves, the manufacturing is inconsistent. There's a lot of deformities inside them. You can't necessarily see them with your eye, but anyone who's ever taken one of these out to actually shoot with regular round ball BBs knows that it's pretty gosh darn accurate. You're looking at probably a 6-inch spread within 10 feet. However, if you go out and get yourself something like this right here, these are actual pellets. You have to single load these into your BB gun, but they dramatically increase your accuracy with that BB gun. And the way they do that is kind of like how an old mini or Minier ball would work in a smoothbore musket. So the ones I have here, these are 8 grain pellets. You can get heavier, but I find that 8 to 10 grain is your best weight to velocity ratio with just your cheapo BB gun. And if you look on the back of these pellets, they have a hollow base inside of them. And whenever the gas from the pellet gun smacks into that hollow base, it actually expands it just like how a mini ball does inside of, say, a musket. And that expansion fills up the barrel, and essentially it creates a lack of leeway inside of the barrel to dramatically increase accuracy. On top of that, the front of the pellet is heavier than the rear, so unlike something like a bullet, which needs a spin to be able to stabilize, something like this right here is just going to automatically stabilize because it is front heavy. So you're having 8 grain pill that's going to travel approximately 800 or so feet per second from a BB gun like this, and it's going to give you fairly decent accuracy out to about 25, maybe even 30 feet. It's not exactly something that I would want to use to defend my life with, don't get me wrong, but for a small game gathering object, for a small game gathering tool, it is quite effective. And considering how many BBs and pellets you can get for how small of an amount of money you would spend on them, I think it's a good option. Going out and getting yourself, say, a cheapo $100 BB gun, and then 1,000 BBs for like $5, and 500 pellets for probably another $5 to have more accuracy out at longer distances. It's just a good option, especially if you're surrounded by small game, because that BB gun can do a lot, especially within close distances that you would normally get with small game. We're not talking about hunting elk at 500 yards. We're not talking about hunting deer at 200 yards. We're talking about getting a squirrel that is in your backyard, which you can do even in an urban area with something like this, because these are stupidly quiet. They don't even sound like gunfire. It's a good option. As a matter of fact, I've used this to get squirrels in my attic in this house before, and it hasn't caused any damage to the house, and it hasn't caused any issues with any neighbors. So I think there's a lot that can be said for a game gathering device, or a BB gun being used as a game gathering device. Now, not exactly big game, but small game, you can definitely use a BB gun for that. On top of that, this right here, I am not condoning you use a BB gun for self-defense. That being said, if all you have is a BB gun for self-defense, that is not the same as being unarmed. Couple of things here. This right here, this exact thing, this is a Crossman BB gun 1911 BB. And this was my self-defense firearm before I could own firearms. Like, you could go to, say, Walmart and pick up something like this right here. And I was able to pick it up with the help of one of my parents. I can't remember which one because I got this years and years and years ago. And this is a CO2 BB gun. It operates using little tiny stick mags like this right here and little tiny CO2 canisters, and it's not exactly a powerhouse of a handgun. That being said, if it's all you have within the confines of, say, a household or something like that, it might be enough to stop the threat. Depending on how determined that threat is to cause issues, it might be enough to stop that threat. Again, I do not condone anyone deciding to only use these, but if this is all you have, then it's all you have. But on the inside of these, you have a little CO2 canister. And within, say, like 10 feet or so, if you're dealing with somebody who is not determined to fight, or you're dealing with somebody who doesn't want to get hit by a BB gun, if you mag dump your BB gun, like this right here, just center mass inside that bad boy, it's certainly not going to kill them by any stretch of the imagination, but it might deter them enough to get them to decide to leave. I know a lot of times whenever we're dealing with any sort of, say, home invasion or aggressor or something like that, as soon as something like this right here comes out and they start receiving any kind of fire or opposition at all, they book it. They run away. I do not recommend relying on that as a strategy. But if all you have is something like this right here, then, like I said, it's not the same as being unarmed. Even if you have, I don't know, some punk that's messing with you, and you got something like this right here, I think the magazine on this holds, if memory serves me correctly, 10 rounds of BBs. It might be 15 rounds. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. I know it's not a lot. Yeah, we're going to say 15, because it looks like right there's the fill point. So we're going to say 15, and if you dump those rounds into your target in like 5-round increments within 10 yards with a fresh CO2 canister, it's probably going to stop that guy from doing whatever the hell he's doing. If he's an aggressor, he's going to become no longer aggressive unless maybe he's drunk or high on something. Now, let's say that your opposition is armed and all you have is something like this right here. You are probably not going to eliminate that threat to the point of actually causing death upon that threat. However, what you can do is greatly diminish the threat's capability to put accurate and sustained fire on you. If somebody, even with something like this right here, somebody's not just going to stand there and tank the BB gun rounds. They're going to be running and dodging and trying to take cover in some aspect of some way, unless they're so gosh darn out of it from some drug or narcotic, in which case they're probably not going to be very skilled with a gunfighter anyway. But my bottom line is, if you have something like this right here, no, it is not a very good option, but it is not the same as being unarmed. And if all you have is something like this right here, again, 22 long rifle is a much better option, but if all you have is something like this right here, then it will work. I've taken a lot of things with BB guns simply because the ammo is very inexpensive, and half the time I'm doing things like that, I'm in a city, and I don't want to attract a bunch of attention. I still use BB guns to this day. I literally used that earlier today, which is what inspired me to come make this video. I went out and got myself a couple of squirrels with that thing. So it can do the job. It absolutely will do the job, assuming that you do your part to make sure the job gets done. I would not recommend using like actual regular round ball BB for game gathering. They do have good velocity, but they're very lightweight. You're looking at probably about 4 inches of penetration on a gel target, which is enough for a squirrel or something like that. But the big thing is they're accurate, as opposed to using like actual pellets, because these right here are a way better option than regular old BBs. And again, I would not recommend using a BB gun, handgun for self-defense, but if it's all you have, then it's not the same as being unarmed. You might be able to stop the threat with that. You're not going to kill anything that might be a threat to you. Like, if something's big enough to be a threat to you, you're not going to kill it with a BB gun, not unless you get really, really, really lucky. But it might be enough to deter the threat enough to run away or to stop doing whatever it is that they're doing to you. Consider it like a less lethal option. So all of that being said, thanks for watching. I appreciate your time. This is just something that I don't really see covered all that often on gun channels, just because we always talk about other things. Like, rather than get a BB gun for home defense, get yourself a shotgun. A pump action shotgun is a way, way better option. Or get yourself, say, an AR in 223-556. Just pay attention to what ammo you use so you don't have to deal with over-penetration if that's a problem in your particular area. Okay, insert outro here. I'm done rambling on. Bye, guys. I'll see y'all later. Been a little while since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. The poor man's Garrett. It's a shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.